When you look at any winning business, from that cool little coffee shop on the corner to a massive global company, they all have one thing in common: a plan. And I don't just mean a to do list, I mean a real, honest to goodness blueprint for how they're going to win in their market. So, what's the difference? What turns a list of tasks into a powerful strategic blueprint? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about how you define your destination with clear, powerful goals. Then, we'll explore the three fundamental paths you can actually take to win. And finally, we'll get into the really tough part: how to make the right choice for your organization.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. At its heart, every single great strategy is really just an answer to one simple but incredibly important question. Seems almost too simple, doesn't it? But this question, it's everything. A strategy is a company's answer to this. Winning isn't about luck, and it's not just about working harder than the next person. It's about making deliberate, often difficult choices. It's about deciding not just what you're going to do, but maybe even more importantly, what you're not going to do, all to create an advantage that can actually last. Okay, so you can't really plan a road trip without knowing where you're going, right? It's the exact same thing in business. Before you can figure out how you're going to win, you have to be crystal clear on what winning even looks like for you. And that all starts with setting powerful, long-term goals. I find it helpful to think of this like a cascade or a pyramid. At the very top, you've got the vision, that big, aspirational, change the world kind of idea. That gets narrowed down by the mission, which is all about the company's core purpose. From there, you get your broader long-term goals, and then finally, all of that cascades down into specific, measurable objectives. That's how you turn a big dream into something people can actually work on every day.
So, what separates a real goal from just a nice wish? Well, it's a bit of a balancing act. For sure, it has to be totally aligned with a vision and mission. It needs to be a bit of a stretch, challenging enough to get people excited, but not so crazy that it feels impossible. And here's the kicker: it has to be simple. Simple enough that every single person, from the CEO's office to the front lines, understands it and knows what part they play.
All right, destination locked in, we know where we're going. Now for the really interesting part: choosing how we're going to get there. And to understand our options, we're going to turn to a brilliant, classic framework from the legendary strategist Michael Porter. He basically laid out the fundamental paths any business can take to compete.
Porter called these generic strategies. Now, generic doesn't mean boring, it means they're universal. They can apply to pretty much any business in any industry. And Porter was really, really clear on this. You have to choose a path. If you don't, you get what he famously called stuck in the middle, trying to be a little of everything to everyone and ending up being nothing special to anyone. And that's the danger zone.
So what are these paths? Well, Porter argued it really boils down to three distinct ways you can win in a market. You can win on cost, you can win by being totally unique, or you can win by completely dominating a small specific niche. Let's put these side by side. First, you've got cost leadership. This is all about being the most efficient, lowest cost producer out there. Think Ryanair. Then there's differentiation. This is about being so unique and superior that customers will pay a premium. That's Apple's whole playbook. And finally, the focus strategy. This is where you pick a tiny piece of the market and serve it better than anyone else. Think Ferrari. Let's dig into cost leadership. This isn't just about having a sale. It demands a culture of ruthless efficiency. Ryanair is the perfect case study. They don't just happen to have cheap flights. Their entire operation is a masterclass in stripping out costs. Using smaller airports to save on fees, flying only one type of plane to make maintenance cheaper, every single decision is viewed through the lens of cost. Now, on the complete other end of the spectrum, you have differentiation. Here, you're not even trying to play the price game. The goal is to be the best, or at least the most special, in a way that customers truly care about. This uniqueness could come from amazing product features, legendary customer service, or just a powerful brand that people feel connected to. Dyson is a fantastic example. They pour tons of money into R&D to create products that perform better and honestly look like they're from the future. That combination of unique design and superior engineering is something people are absolutely willing to pay more for. It takes Dyson completely out of the price war. And that brings us to our third path, the focus strategy. The best way to think about this is stop trying to compete in the whole ocean. Instead, find a small, cozy pond where you can be the big fish. You pick a really narrow market segment and then dedicate all of your energy to serving their specific needs. Think about a company like Lush Cosmetics. They're not trying to take on the giant cosmetic brands in every department store. No way. Instead, they focus like a laser on a niche group of customers who care deeply about things like ethical sourcing and natural handmade products. And within that niche, they differentiate like crazy, and their customers are incredibly loyal because of it.
So, you've got 3 choices. But listen, this isn't like picking a favorite. Each one of these paths is a serious commitment, and each one comes with its own set of demanding requirements and, you guessed it, its own set of big risks.
The thing is, no strategy is a perfectly safe bet. If you choose cost leadership, you're in a never-ending race. A competitor could copy your methods, or a new technology could just wipe out your cost advantage overnight. If you go for differentiation, you're constantly fighting off imitators, and you always have that nagging worry that customers might just stop caring about the very thing that makes you special.
So here's the bottom line. Success isn't about picking the best strategy on paper. It's about picking the right strategy for you. Your choice has to become the heartbeat of your entire organization. It has to affect your marketing, your hiring, your supply chain, everything. A cost leader can't afford a flashy, expensive R&D lab, and a differentiator simply can't cut corners on customer service. Everything must be perfectly aligned. And that leaves us with one final powerful question, a warning that comes straight from Michael Porter. Is your organization's strategy crystal clear? Do you know without a doubt exactly how you plan to win? Or are you trying to be a little bit of everything to everyone and running that very real risk of being stuck in the middle?